Hey everyone, welcome back to Canadian Boxing Hub. Today I'm going to jump into Canada's probably best hope in the immediacy of the next year to gain a world title. Ryan Rozicki is the WBC mandatory for the title now held by Badu Jack. Of course, Badu Jack, better known for his days at 168, 175, now campaigning, although not very often, at cruiserweight. Beat Ilunga Makabu, dropping him a few times en route to a victory, gaining the WBC title, then falling into a period of inactivity. Ended up falling to Noel McCallan, the title, who just never seemed to fight anyone either. Avoided Ryan Rozicki from Nova Scotia several times. The Cape Breton fighter was fighting all the mandatories, took a couple fights against some pretty top contenders in the cruiserweight division. Of course, not guys that are necessarily in the zeitgeist of most fans. For instance, Alante Green, who's a good fighter out of, I believe, Ohio, who he knocked out in the 10th round viciously. That full fight is on YouTube, and maybe I'll put it up on my page later. But Ryan Rozicki versus Alante Green, watch till the very end. Just a brutal fight, and it really epitomizes the type of fighter that Ryan Rozicki is. But Rozicki more recently fought Yamil Peralta in what was supposed to be an interim title fight for the WBC interim. It was ended in a draw, which is controversial. I myself scored the fight comfortably a couple rounds to Rozicki, whereas this was the rematch. In the first fight, which Rozicki did win, I scored it either a draw or 1 round to Peralta. That fight was heavily criticized for hometown refereeing, rightly so. Not Rozicki's fault. He went on and fought top contenders that he could get his hands on, was knocking everybody else out, fought a couple heavyweights. Rozicki, of course, not unfamiliar to fighting heavyweights. He fought Oscar Rivas, who is or was a heavyweight campaigner who fought the likes of Dillian White, dropped Dillian White, beat Brian Jennings by knockout. Oscar Rivas was a campaigning heavyweight, fought for the Bridgerweight title against Ryan Rozicki, and that's an unbelievable fight. If you can get your hands on that one, I think it's still up there somewhere. I'm against the idea of the Bridgerweight title, and the WBC kind of popping it up, but what a fight that was between Rivas and Rozicki. Rozicki giving up at least 30 pounds on fight night. A career cruiserweight, walks around at cruiserweight, and then went in and just went absolute hell for leather with Rivas. Unbelievable fight. So Rozicki has, been in against these guys, Peralta, Rivas, Alante Green. He's been at the level, he's done everything that's been asked of him. Ultimately, would it be nice to see him on some bigger shows fighting guys that are more well-recognized to work him up the rankings, of course, but he's done everything in his power, which is beat everyone put in front of him. He had a controversial 2 fights with Yamil Peralta, where he came away with a win that was maybe generous to him in the first fight, and then came away with a draw in a fight which he decisively seemingly won in the second fight. Maybe it was a case of the judges in Nova Scotia kind of almost overcompensating for what they did in the first fight, maybe wanting to, the commission was being extra careful not to be too biased towards Rozicki. Nonetheless, it seems that neither of these fights quite got it right, which is a shame. So it leaves a clouded WBC situation. At the time of the fight in December, Noel McCallan still holds the the full title. I'm sure you're scratching your head, so am I. Noel McCallan still holds the full title, but he's inactive. He's avoided Ryan Rozicki for now a couple of years. Badu Jack, who had previously relinquished the title and been stripped, which was then awarded to McKalen. What a situation. So then, around New Year's, the WBC strips McKalen, or makes him champion in recess, whatever. If this all sounds like nonsense, it's because it is. McKalen's now the champion in recess. Badu Jack has been reinstated without having a fight since the Makabu fight. But he's often in Saudi, around the important people. He's now managed by 258, which is AJ's company. It's clear that there's some favoritism going on. Nonetheless, Badu Jack reinstated, full champion. Number one mandatory continues to be Ryan Rozicki, and they went to a bid for that fight. Ryan Rozicki's manager and promoter, Three Lions Promotions, wins the purse bid for something less than $400,000, $360,000, something in that neighborhood, give or take. So they're supposed to be putting on this fight. Now, we haven't had a date or location announced still, and it seems that this fight might be going to Saudi. Ryan Rozicki on Instagram has indicated that he will be battling the Saudi Heat in this fight. It's going to be interesting. Of course, Badu Jack has far more, slick skills in the boxing ring, though I do think Rozicki is underrated. He's got an old school style, which is more slick than the average eye catches. He is a brawler, though, by nature. His last fight against Peralta was one of the first fights which he really showed that he can come in with a game plan and outpoint someone with smart aggression. Typically, he goes in there obviously trying to knock everyone out, and usually it works. I think in this fight, obviously, you've got the aging Jack, what's left in him. I don't think his power will necessarily bother Rozicki. He's gone 12 rounds with Oscar Rivas. Nobody else has really troubled him, though he does cut very easily. He's got a lot of scar tissue, and he does cut quite easily, and that's always a factor in his fights. It's going to be interesting to see, can his aggression, his smart aggression applied to Badu Jack, win him over this fight? Will his youth and his pace be too much for Jack? Will Jack be too slick? Do you know these guys? Are you familiar with these guys? What do you think? And if you're unfamiliar with Ryan Rozicki, make sure you check him out. Hopefully we get a date for this soon, whether it's in Saudi Arabia, which would be a shame, but I do understand that there might be some more money demanded in this fight than what the Canadian promotion out of, Cape Breton can do here. Let me know what you think. Hopefully we get a fight announcement soon, and I will cover those videos, talk about more in-depth analysis. But Ryan Rozicki, other than Christian Mbili, likely Canadian boxing best chance at a world title in the next couple of years. So let me know what you think. Share, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time.